There was an ancient empire that terrified Egypt, toppled Babylon, and may have fought at Troy, only to mysteriously collapse and vanish from history. Stick around, because by the end, I promise you, you'll be Googling movies on them. This is the story of the Hittite Empire, a superpower of the Bronze Age, nearly erased from memory, until a French archaeologist stumbled onto their lost capital in the wilds of Turkey in 1834. Over 3,000 years ago, the world had powerful kingdoms like Egypt, Babylon, and Assyria. But in the hills of what is now Turkey, another great power was rising, the Hittites. They called their land Hatti, named after the people who lived there before them. Around 1650 BCE, a king named Labarna united the nearby regions and built a capital city called Hattusa. This city had strong stone walls, huge gates with lions and sphinxes, and secret tunnels. Hattusa was not just for defense, it was a busy capital filled with palaces, temples, and homes. The biggest temple was for the storm god Tarhunda and the sun goddess Araniti. These temples were also centers of work, trade, and learning. The Hittites believed in many gods, including ones from other cultures. That's why they were called the Kingdom of 1,000 Gods. In 1906, archaeologist Hugo Winkler found more than 25,000 clay tablets in Hattusa. They included laws, royal letters, and even myths. In 1915, a Czech expert named Bedřich Hrozný figured out their language. It turned out to be the oldest known Indo-European language, related to English, Latin, and Sanskrit. The Hittites became known for their powerful army. In 1595 BCE, King Mursili I led his troops all the way to Babylon and destroyed the ruling dynasty. He didn't stay, but the attack showed how strong the Hittites were. According to ancient Hittite records, he brought back treasure and prisoners. Later kings like Tudhaliya and Suppiluliuma I led campaigns across Syria. They took control of cities like Aleppo and Ugarit. One king even received a request from an Egyptian queen asking him to send a prince to marry her after her husband died. The Hittite army used large chariots with 3 men, one to drive, one to hold the shield, and one to shoot arrows. This made them fast and deadly in battle. Their biggest fight came in 1274 BCE against Egypt at the city of Kadesh. Pharaoh Rameses II brought a huge army, but the Hittite king Muwatalli II had a clever plan. He tricked the Egyptians and attacked by surprise. The battle ended without a clear winner, but both sides agreed to peace. This led to the world's first written peace treaty. A copy of it is displayed at the United Nations today. Hattusa was more than a military base. It was full of life. There were palaces, markets, storehouses, temples, and schools. Temples played a big role in daily life. People came there not just to pray, but also to work. There were musicians, dancers, cooks, and priests. Festivals were held with songs, dances, and plays that told stories of gods and heroes. The Hittites had detailed laws. Instead of harsh punishments, many crimes had to be paid with fines. Even slaves had rights. The king had a group of nobles called the Panku, who helped advise him. Hittite leaders also signed agreements with other kingdoms. Letters from Hittite kings to rulers in Egypt and the Middle East have been found in places like Amarna in Egypt. These show how important the Hittites were in international politics. Around 1200 BCE, things started to fall apart. Records show food shortages, fighting within the kingdom, and attacks from outsiders. Earthquakes damaged their cities. Some historians believe a group called the Sea Peoples played a part. These were mysterious raiders from the Mediterranean, possibly including tribes like the Shurden, Luka, and Peliset. The last kings tried to defend the empire, but it wasn't enough. The capital was burned, and the empire broke apart. This was part of the larger Bronze Age collapse that also hit other major civilizations. But the Hittites didn't disappear completely. Smaller Hittite kingdoms continued in parts of Turkey and Syria. They kept using the Hittite language, art, and gods for many years. Hittite stories and ideas, like the storm god fighting a serpent, were passed on and may have influenced Greek and Middle Eastern myths. For a long time, the Hittites were forgotten, only mentioned briefly in the Bible. But thanks to archaeology, we now know they were one of the great powers of the ancient world. They built strong cities, fought powerful enemies, signed the first peace treaty, and believed in hundreds of gods. Their story isn't just history, it's a rediscovery. Did their story hit you as hard as it hit me? Tell me in the comments. Tap like if you're glad this forgotten empire finally got the spotlight. Subscribe for more stories that time tried to erase. And share this video. You never know who else might be ready to meet the Hittites. Because sometimes the past whispers louder than the present. So step into the past. Go beyond 5,000.